opportunities. The School of Hospitality Studies is one that we put a lot of effort into. We made it completely free. We covered childcare for those who young mothers. We covered transportation. We gave them stipends. We took every hurdle out of the way of our people who were interested and willing to do these programs. And that's what we have to continue to do, is to prepare our persons, to take advantage. So again, you could have an ocean full of fish, beaming with fish, but if you don't know how to fish, you won't catch them, right? So that we have the opportunities when things return to normal. The opportunities will be there. We just have to continue to focus on preparing our people to take advantage of those opportunities. Briefly on the question about quarantine, I think there has to be a time where the country takes responsibility for this, and a level of trust has to be incorporated. I see that the unvaccinated persons are going back to the GPS bracelets, and I guess the reason for that is that if you're unvaccinated, it's determined. We had a call earlier that challenged that you would be possibly more contagious if you're unvaccinated. But at some point, right now, people are suffering out there because they are doing their lateral flow tests. They come back positive. They contact public health. They get an appointment 2 days, 3 days later to do a PCR. They come back positive. They have to wait 3 or 4 days to get that result. Then they're in quarantine. Yeah. And then they do the 10 days quarantine. Then they make an appointment for 2-3 days later to do the exit PCR. Then they got to wait at home for 2 to 3 days to get the results. Yeah. That's not 10 days quarantine. And if they don't fix that, people are going to stop reporting positives. Yeah. And that's a very solemn warning, because people have burnt through their vacation pay, they've burnt through their sick pay, and especially and in particular those who are self-employed cannot afford to stay home for 3-4 weeks at a time every time somebody gets sick.
This was shared with me, this person talking about the lateral flow tests that were given to children. Person says, I haven't been tested once, and when they sent these kits home with my children, I threw them in the garbage. They can play that game with someone else, but not with me. I mean, that's the kind of mentality that some persons have, and those are the things that we find that we're fighting.
That people are frustrated and people are afraid. Yeah. If you have 2 kids in school and you're just randomly testing yourself, and one of them come back positive, that's you. That's 2 weeks for you out of work, at home with the kids, and then if the second child test positive or yourself at the end of that 2 weeks, that's another 2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if the situation gets worse and this COVID-19 then becomes deadly, then that's not the approach. Ms. Susan, we're going to try those WhatsApp messages that we had as well, those voice notes. We have one. Let's play that.
We'll have time to wind up.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, people. Just a couple of concerned questions for myself. And I'm going to ask it from the business standpoint. So, if there is a business and no customers, what is the business? I refer that to Cayman reopening money, all of that. Okay, so Cayman has been put number 4 because of the outbreak. We're not going to control over it. So if all of the people in Cayman get sick with COVID, vaccinated or unvaccinated, who's going to want to come to Cayman? The United States has put Cayman in a position. Cayman put themselves in a position as well. The United States tells their people, don't come to Cayman because COVID spread is so high here that unless they got that wish or wish to become sick, don't come here because they can get it. So we're killing ourselves to open borders and all that sort of stuff, and pressuring every avenue to make sure that this reopening happens. But if there's nobody to come to Cayman as they're being warned by their countries, by their presidents to not come here, why are we stressing, forcing to reopen?
Okay. I want to thank that caller for that as well. So gentlemen, I think that the one about we haven't mentioned yet is the regulations, whether or not they're robust enough for successful prosecutions and everything as well. And you both have the mic until we're going to see if we can sneak you at 10:05 if possible.
Well, the thing about it is when you talk about enforcing these, I don't care what kind of regulations or policies we put in place. I don't think that persons are going to get serious about enforcing them until someone dies. Unfortunately. So we were a bit relaxed and, about the situation in Cayman because we have a good situation where people are getting sick, but, they just isolate, spend 10 days and they're out again. No one seriously ill. And we're really taking it for granted. And I think we need to do a better job. Everyone needs to take responsibility. You can't expect the government to do it alone. We all need to take responsibility. If we're positive, we need to isolate, but at the same time, the government needs to ensure that persons are not starving or persons aren't able to pay their bills because they're trying to do the right thing. We need to ensure that they don't have to go through a long rigmarole to try to get assistance.
It's a lot easier to get people to follow the law if you make it as simple as possible. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think in hearing the voice note just now in terms of you're going to have some persons who don't want us to open up. They don't see the value in us open up. They don't understand. Although the statistics are there saying there's more community spread than persons traveling coming into the country will bring. It's only 669 community spread and 9 persons as travelers. At least we identify the travelers and we know who they are and we isolate them and we ban them and we put them in certain facilities, etc. But the community spread, you don't know who they are, you don't know who's positive. So I just want to say to that person,
it's almost an honor system that they have in place.
It's an honor system. What I want to say to that person is that I have to respect what he's saying and others are saying about not opening up, and I really understand what they're saying. But what are the 4,000 workers that are out of jobs in the tourism industry? What are they saying? And how long can the government continue to pay $1,500 or $2,000 to persons? How long can the government do that? And also knowing that the government's revenues is down also because of our closures. So I think we need to, and I'm sure that the government is looking at places around the world, countries around the world, who had to take that decision to open up, albeit not everyone will be happy with that decision. But I think we have a good situation here. We haven't had any local community spread that has caused someone to die. And we really need to just take it from there and try to find the best way in the world to enforce mask wearing and other policies that will keep us safe, keep our children safe. We need to put more protocols in place in terms of who can visit our schools and how that's done and protect our children in any case, I'm not for mandatory vaccination in any form. And we have to show concern about our children in terms of vaccinations and so forth. I'm concerned about that. I need more information myself. You know, I have small children. But, you know, to each their own, you know. And I think, you know, vaccination has always been important in the history of the Cayman Islands, in the history of the Caribbean,
yes.
and the history of the world, you know. And, you know, we need to respect that. I think there's enough information out there for us to appreciate that vaccinations, albeit this was fast-tracked, and I think that's what some persons are concerned about. But it's really glaring information out there to show that persons who are vaccinated are less likely to die.
They're effective.
Or to be hospitalized, you know, seriously hospitalized.
Okay, definitely. Very quickly.
Yes, but there were a couple of things, if the government are listening to that, I won't get into the detail, but I wanted to raise was this recent grant for land-based operators, tour buses, taxis, etc. They're asking for a trade and business license. Now, we faced that when I did the first round of grants, and it was our view that if you're licensed under the public transport section of the traffic law, that you should not require a trade and business license to receive the grant. And that again now, so you're giving them $4,000, but you're taking $75 back, and you're putting them through a whole lot of work. TNB, the Trade and Business License Board, DCI, are struggling like everyone else with COVID and are running on limited hours and are weeks behind. So this is just more frustration, added more work to their department when it's not needed, because these folks are already licensed through the public transport unit under the traffic law. So that was one thing. The second thing is I still have not heard anything from the government, the health minister, on protecting the most vulnerable in the workplace. People are being forced, people that are immune compromised, even though they're vaccinated, they can still die from COVID, and they're being forced to go to work, or they're being told they have to resign or they'll be fired. We need their guidelines that the UK set out for businesses to adhere to, and I'm calling on the health minister to address this issue to protect those who are most vulnerable. I do want to say a few positive things. I want to thank the Minister of Works for the West Bay Road development that's happening. I fully encourage that before too many tourists return. It is going to save lives and I'm sure, OC, you've used it, the bicycle lanes. And also I am encouraged, and I heard that they're going forward with the Airport Connector Road, which will relieve tremendous pressure on that Butterfield roundabout and the North Sound Road. And with the advent of tourists and more taxes, that's going to be an issue. So I want to congratulate the government on that, and encourage them to continue to push forward those projects.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you all very much. Look forward to seeing you again next week. You notice when you come on, there's a lot of people talking because they want to hear from someone as well. I can't even have my closing comments. I'm going to have to pay for that extra 5 minutes. Sponsored by OC. Folks, please continue to support Radio Cayman, and we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution.